This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
They're gaining quickly on the front runner. Here's Dynaforce on the outside. Dynaforce and Kent DeSormo on the outside, striking the lead. Bayou's Lassie fighting on gamely, but now a half length behind in second. And from last place comes Forever Together. Can Dynaforce hold on? Can Forever Together get there? Yes, she can. From last to first, Forever Together has won the Diana.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Down the Stretch. I'm Mark Casano. On this morning's show, we'll take a brief look back at the opening day Schuylerville, and then we will welcome in a trio of special guests, beginning with NYRA President Chris Kay. He will be followed by a couple of gentlemen who I think have legitimate chances to upset this afternoon's Diana. Mr. Shug McGaughey, who's got Abaco, and Mr. Graham Motion, who will saddle Strathnaver. So all of that and much, much more if you stay with us for this, our July 19th edition of the program, which is being sponsored by Parting Glass Racing, Saratoga's original racing partnership. Visit them on the web at partingglassracing.com. Good morning once again. Welcome to beautiful and historic Saratoga. For those of you who are new to the area and new to the station, we will be with you each and every Saturday morning, beginning at 10 o'clock with the exception of Travers Day, where we'll be on a bit earlier. We'll let you know about that, and three special guests coming up later on in the show. For now, very quickly, let's get you caught up on three important items, beginning with Mucho Macho Man, who captured last year's Breeders' Cup Classic, but who hadn't raced since a dull effort in the March 1st Santa Anita Handicap, has been retired. And Untappable, whose dominant victories in the Kentucky Oaks and the Mother Goose propelled her to the top of the three-year-old filly division, will pass on tomorrow's coaching club and run instead against the boys in next week's Haskell. And finally, Prized, who captured the 1989 Breeders' Cup Turf in what I believe was his first ever start on grass, was euthanized last week at Old Friends, Kentucky. Prized was 28 years of age. And from the 28-year-old Prized to 2-year-old fillies in the opening day Schuylerville, and in front along the inside is the second choice, Take Charge Brandy, who broke perfectly on the lead. Chasing second on the outside is the 1-5 favorite, Fashion Alert, who had broken inward at the break and was hustled up to challenge by Johnny V. Now, Fashion Alert, who didn't break perfectly in her debut either, where she handily captured the Astoria, would have to work pretty hard in here to outgame Take Charge Brandy, who was a very easy winner of her debut in last. And as you are about to see in the lane, Fashion Alert had some problems changing leads, and you'll see her trying to lay in on her rival. She didn't edge clear until quite late. 1 minute 11.78 off an opening half mile and 45.21 with a final furlong in nearly 14 seconds. Now that is not terribly unusual when babies stretch out for the first time. Johnny V not only won this race, he won another. Jose Ortiz, the riding star on opening day, with a trio of victories. European superstar Frankie Dettori, in his first ever appearance at Saratoga, won 2 races for trainer Wesley Ward, and trainer Jeremiah Engelhardt won his first ever race at Saratoga. Congratulations to him on a wonderful opening day. And we are up to our first break. When we return, Mr. Chris Kay will join us as we go to this break. Last Saturday's Delaware Handicap, where Princess of Sylmar, owned by Schenectady native Ed Stanko, went postward as the 1-5 favorite. So we will take a look at the Delaware Handicap to the break. Back with Chris Kay right after these messages.
And we're about set for a start. And they're off in the Grade 1 Delaware Handicap. Off the chute, Bel Galante to the inside, Flash American and Molly Morgan, all three across the track as Princess of Sylmar trying to find a spot up on the outside, hasn't found one yet. Brian's Jewel and toward the inside, Gamay Noir as they come down the stretch the first time, and it's not really that much of a tempo so far. Bel Galante, Jose Ortiz has that one throttled down. Flash American is up the challenge, followed by Molly Morgan who's racing wide. Brian's Jewel has the inside tracked on Princess of Sylmar and 4 lengths further back to the late running Gamay Noir. Opening quarter went in 24-2, much to the liking of Jose Ortiz and Bel Galante, who leads it by 2 over Flashy American. Brian's Jewel hugs that rail. Molly Morgan up there still 3 wide on the outside. Princess of Sylmar between horses and still 4 lengths to Gamay Noir. Opening half in 49-2. Very easy tempo being set by Bel Galante and Ortiz. Flash American is right there in second. Then 3 across the track. Princess of Sylmar is sandwiched on the inside. Brian's Jewel up on the outside. Molly Morgan still about 5.5 lengths further back to Gamay Noir as they make their way down the Delaware backstretch. Just over a half mile to go. Bel Galante being nursed along. Flashy American, Brian's Jewel, Princess of Sylmar. Castellano yet to let that one go. On the outside, it's Molly Morgan and 7 lengths further back to Gamay Noir. The 6 in a comfortable 1:13-3. Bel Galante, Flashy American. Now the Princess begins to move. Princess of Sylmar. Castellano's asking for something. Moves up between horses, but Bel Galante and Flashy American still have plenty left with a quarter to go. Princess of Sylmar needs some racing room. Has to kick it in as they turn for home. Bel Galante, Jose Ortiz, Flashy American, Princess of Sylmar to the outside. She's trying to kick it in. Bel Galante may have stolen this race. She's in front by 2.5 by 3. Flashy American, Princess of Sylmar, and Gamay Noir. An upset here. Bel Galante will win the Delaware Handicap. Princess of Sylmar has to settle for second. Flashy American third. Gamay Noir fourth.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Sovereign stable.
Partnerships.
Ownership.
Winning.
Sovereign stable.
The anticipation.
The excitement.
The thrill.
Top level racing.
Sovereign stable.
Join us in the morning on the backstretch of Saratoga Racecourse to experience the magic of thoroughbred ownership. Call 866-329-2WIN to meet trainers, jockeys, and watch sovereign horses on the track.
Welcome back to Down the Stretch, everyone. I'm Mark Asano, and Bel Galante for Rudy Rodriguez and Jose Ortiz. Claimed for $35,000 last December, goes wire to wire in the $750,000 Delaware Handicap to beat Princess of Sylmar by nearly 3 lengths. Our first guest spot each year here at Saratoga is reserved for the president of the New York Racing Association, and we are very pleased to welcome back Mr. Christopher Kay. Chris, welcome back to Down the Stretch.
Mark, it's a pleasure to be here.
Nice to see you as always.
Thank you.
Quite an opening day.
It was gorgeous. In every respect, it was spectacular. We had a great crowd. We had great weather. We had a lot of new amenities for people to enjoy. We had a number of women dressed in their hats. It was fantastic.
NYRA has invested about $2 million in capital improvements for the facility. As our audience takes a look at this video showing some of it, talk about the $2 million you've invested.
Well, we've invested almost $1.9 million in new television sets, high-definition television sets throughout the property. There are over 750 of them in the grandstand, backyard, and the clubhouse. We've also have 3 massive video boards, also in high definition. Then we spent several $100,000 to improve the sound system, which I think everybody will appreciate. And finally, we also have enhanced the Wi-Fi throughout the entire building.
You spoke last year on this show, and you were new at the job at the time, that enhancing the fan experience was extremely important to you.
It is. And so last year, I asked a lot of questions, and I listened very carefully to what the fans had to say. And they said we wanted better TVs. We wanted to be able to hear better, and so we've done just that. In addition, we've also tried to make it more fan-friendly for our youngest fans. And so this year, for the first time, they'll have a chance to get up close and personal with the star of our show, the horse. And just outside, or just inside the Union Avenue gate, we now have a stall, and children can come up and enjoy all the magnificence of a horse.
That's great. That's great. Now, our audience may have seen during that video, you've increased the number of picnic tables in the backyard area, and the picnic tables were done by Unlimited Potential, which is a vocational rehabilitation program. Talk about that for a moment.
Yeah, we're very, very pleased and proud to have that kind of a relationship with this group. There are so many ways that we're trying to connect with the great people of this sport. I think last year you asked me what I had learned, and what I learned most was how great the people in this sport are, and how great the people of Saratoga are. This is a special group of people, and we were so thrilled we could do a deal with them where they could construct 100 new picnic tables. But the fact is, we wanted 150. So we had a decision to make. Either do 100 with them and 50 with somebody else, or do 150 with them over time. So the good news is we have 100 new picnic tables today, and we'll have 50 more from this fine group in the days to come.
Good. Now, you have increased some prices for Saratoga 2014, including trackside parking, some reserved seats, but the portion of the increase getting the most attention, of course, the admission. So for the first time in, I believe, since 2005, you've increased admission costs. Now, I think while most folks agree that the costs are reasonable, the question that I get the most, Chris, is the following. NYRA's got a lot of money coming in from the VLT revenue stream. Why do they have to increase costs?
Well, that's a great question. So let me just go back a little bit to say that in 2005, it was just an increase on Travers Day. The daily increase actually was over 10 years ago. So you have to ask yourself, what business hasn't raised their prices in over 10 years? And in that 10-year period, our cost had gone up 97%. So you say, how can you run a business that way on a long-term basis? It isn't sustainable. So that's why we made that change, because we want to be around here for decades to come. We have to run it as a sustainable business, particularly in light of the fact that we generate a $200 million economic impact to this community as a result of conducting this 40-day meet. So that's why we did it. We have to run it as a business. As far as the VLT money is concerned, during the time of the NYRA bankruptcy, a deal was made between the state of New York and the New York Racing Association, where the New York Racing Association sold its real estate to the state of New York. And in return, the state of New York said, you'll get certain monies, which will be paid by Genting through the VLTs. And they designated part of those monies go to purses. And so we have some of the best purses around. Some of that money would go to improve our capital structures, and finally the rest would go to operating. Now, there are two ways that you could spend that operating money. You could either pay off deficits. In other words, we'll spend more money than we take in, and we'll use the VLT monies to offset that.
Right.
That's a recipe for disaster on a long-term basis. If you spent more money than you made every year and took the proceeds from the sale of your house to make up the deficits, pretty soon you won't have any house, you won't have any proceeds, and you'll be in significant debt. We didn't want to do that. That wasn't the responsible way to do business. And so we had a modest increase in prices so that we can run on a break-even basis as a business operation, and those monies that come from VLT for operations, we'll use those to fuel growth initiatives.
Now, you increased admission prices, but the seasonal passes, which you worked in conjunction with Stewart's this year for the first time, actually decreased in cost and went over very, very well, didn't they?
They did. So I come from Orlando and have a certain appreciation for the importance of tourism and how it works. When you come down to Orlando, you buy a one-day ticket and you pay a certain price. But for those of us that live in Orlando, we pay a different price for a season pass. So we work with the same kind of consultants that we use in Orlando to determine what would be the right ticket price. Then the most important thing was what you just mentioned. you need to have marketing and you need to have convenience. And by virtue of doing this deal with Stewart Shops, we now had 151 new locations conveniently located for all of our fans in the capital region to go and get a voucher. And when you went to a Stewart Shop, there it was on the gas pump, the message about the price. When you walked in, there were signs on the doors, and when you went to the register, there were more signs. So Stewart Shops did a great job marketing this program. They had 151 convenient locations, and the result is a phenomenal success.
Are you worried to any degree that the increased admission costs for daily admission will affect attendance this year?
I'm not worried. Obviously, you have to use your best judgment and see how things work, and I don't pretend to have all the answers. But when I look and see the kind of demand there is for hotel rooms this year as opposed to last, I think there are going to be more people coming to town. In addition, I think last year's racing was fantastic, and we have great quality this year with our new Senior Vice President of Racing Operations, Martin Panza. And finally, I think the Chamber of Commerce here in Saratoga did everyone a great favor. I was asking for them to have out-of-market advertising, something that's so important in the theme park business. And they created an ad that is showing now in Boston and in Hartford, encouraging people to come to enjoy the racing and everything else that's great about Saratoga. So I think there's going to be a lot of people coming this year that may not have come in the past.
How will you chart, or how will you determine if that type of ad in the Hartford market, in the Boston market, is working?
There are a couple different ways. One, to the extent that people give us information about their experience, and we're going to develop a survey that will be helpful. We'll ask their name, where they came from, how far away they live from the track, and so forth. In addition, we'll also try to glean data from the hoteliers to see how many people came from Boston or Hartford. And there are other means by which you can also determine if the ad is successful. So for example, the ad will also direct you to the Chamber of Commerce website. And then you can determine the hits from the website, and if there's more information requested of that individual, they can identify where the person lives.
Tomorrow is your first giveaway of the Saratoga meet, and you've modified the way you'll be giving away items. Talk about that briefly and why the change in the giveaway policy.
Well, there are a couple of changes we're making to try to, number one, make sure that our fans are the recipient of a gift. The whole idea of this giveaway is to give our loyal fans a gift. Now, in every other sport, it's one per customer. When you go to Yankee Stadium or Fenway Park, it's one per customer. And even then, there's a limit. First 12,000, first 15,000. We do it differently here. But last year, which was my first year, I noticed that there were people walking out with 12 hats on their head at 11:30 a.m. And by noon, it was on eBay. Well, our job here is not to create a resale business for people who aren't fans. Our job is to create a gift for those people that are fans. So now we're making it a little more difficult for somebody to amass their 10 or 12 hats, because I want people to enjoy their morning, go to church, and be able to come to the racetrack around the time we have our races at 1 o'clock and still receive that gift.
Now, you have made a decision this year, which I gotta be honest with you, baffles me. You have eliminated twilight racing. And as we know, not only does the New York Racing Association need younger people to come to the races, every organization running racing in North America wants those younger folks. And it appears to me as though late afternoon and evening racing has drawn the younger demographics. Why did you eliminate twilight racing?
Well, there are a number of things we're trying to experiment with this year. And so the question was, do you do 6, do you do 12, or do you do 15? I think there's a lot of merit to what you said about twilight racing. In particular, I'd like to do it on Fridays. I think that would make the most sense in terms of driving traffic. But over the course of last year, we made a number of changes. I'm looking forward in the next year to having more changes where we have more out-of-market advertising. We've now developed a better working relationship with I Love New York. Hopefully we can develop some television ads with that group to be able to do that next year. But I wanted to do it in a big way, and based upon other initiatives we were taking this year, We just didn't have time to address it. At the same time, we had a new senior vice president of racing operations. We said we're going to only run 10 races a day. We're not going to have as many races every day as we had before. And so let's run them in a way that we think would make the most sense. So part of it is we're going to experiment about that later. It's lower on the priority list, if you will, than this year for our changes. And part of it is also to give our new SVP of racing operations a repeatable model throughout the meet. But I do think what you say is true. I think the idea of twilight racing is a very good one.
So it's not dead for the future?
No, not at all.
You are losing a big part of New York racing. Tom Durkin has enhanced New York racing for a very long time. Talk about Tom.
Oh, that of all the sad things, this is the saddest, because Tom is the best. For those of you that may know me, I was formerly a trial lawyer. I would not want to go up against Tom Durkin in a court of law. He is so dramatic, and the excitement and the passion that he conveys is one of the reasons why I first fell in love with horse racing. He was calling races at Cahokia Downs when I was first there. Any event, we're going to have a special day for him on August 30th, Sunday, August 30th. I said, Tom, I'm sorry you're going to retire a year early, but the meet ends on Monday. He says, I know that. I want to go to Saratoga as a fan, which gives you an idea of how special Saratoga is to Tom and in his heart.
And I will tell the audience that we have Tom scheduled for our Saturday, August 30th show, so don't miss that. Okay, the Travers has always been the centerpiece of the Saratoga meet. But this year, it's not the richest race at Saratoga. You've doubled the purse for the Whitney. I think that even surprised Mary Lou Whitney.
Oh, well, first off, it did surprise Mary Lou Whitney. And this was a business decision we made. Neither Mary Lou Whitney nor John Hendrickson had anything to do with it. So it wasn't done in any way as a result of their urging. The reason we did it was simply this. We try to create the best days for racing. The Belmont Stakes Day was the best day of racing in America. We created a day on July 5th where we brought in some of the best horses from Europe to compete against the best horses in America. We have the best 3-year-olds at the Travers. In the older division, we've always been able to get a lot of good horses from the East Coast, but we looked back over the last decade and we weren't getting some of the best horses from the West Coast. So to make this truly the best day nationally for that older division, we increased the purse to $1.5 million. Now there are races on the West Coast that have a purse of $1 million. So we said, let's go to $1.5 million, let's experiment, let's see how it works. And our goal is to make this into another great big event day of racing, and to have more people come in as fans and as tourists to this area for that weekend the way they do for the Travers. In other words, it's a way to really create more business, more fun, more excitement, more buzz.
Final question before we let you go. You've been on the job now a little more than a year. What are some of the more important / fascinating things you've learned about the sport and about Saratoga?
Well, the fascinating thing about it is how many great people there are in this sport. And there are. I mean, and there are people that give their heart to the sport and to others. So, you know, you mentioned, of course, what we're doing with the construction of these new picnic tables. Also, Saratoga Warhorse is an incredible organization that connects veterans and horses in wonderful ways. And the jockeys are great. You know, we did something with Ramon last year. We also had that event where we honored Angel Cordero, Jerry Bailey, and Johnny Velazquez. What I'm going to try to do this year is make sure that all of our fans know what I know about these great people in the sport, whether they be Tom Durkin, whether they be great trainers. That's what we're going to try to convey. This sport has, I've had the opportunity to meet people in other sports. This sport has wonderful people, far beyond that which I've seen in other sports.
Well, Chris, as always, we appreciate your time very much. Thanks so much for having joined us this morning on Down the Stretch, and have a great Saratoga meet.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank
Great
you.
to see you again.
Seeing you again.
Take care.
And we are up to our next break. When we return, Mr. Shug McGaughey will join us. As we go to this break, one of today's features is the Sanford. And 10 years ago, a good-looking 2-year-old who would have a major impact on the 3-year-old division a year later looked awfully good winning this. So we'll take a look at the 2004 Sanford to the break. Back with Shug McGaughey right after these messages.
And they're off. Winning Expression comes away first. There goes Lunar Pal quickly up for the lead. Lunar Pal, Winning Expression going head to head. Flamenco right there in the early mix running in third. Departing now fourth toward the inside. Consolidator moving from fifth. And a Fleet Alex is sixth and only 3 lengths from the lead. Maximus C is now seventh on the outside. Calypso Band is now eighth. Smokescreen ninth toward the inside. 3 lengths back to Gold Joy. And the early trailer is Firepath. 22-1 for the opening quarter. Rounding the far turn. It's still Winning Expression going head-to-head with Lunar Pal. Consolidator right there third. Here comes a Fleet Alex. Moving now fourth on the outside. Flamenco just in behind the lead and running along in fifth. Maximus C takes to the far outside. Now sixth. They're at the top of the stretch and it's wide open here. And a Fleet Alex comes away with the lead at the 8th pole. And kicking in impressively. A Fleet Alex bursting away to lead by 2.5 lengths. Winning Expression is second. Flamenco on the outside third. Then Lunar Pal's dropped back and they're coming down to the line. And a Fleet Alex very impressive in the Sanford. Won by 6 lengths on the wire. Flamenco and Consolidator.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
The big day is here. You've told everybody. You've dressed the part. Your heart is pounding in your chest. Your horse is rolling down the stretch. He's coming. He's closing. He's the winner! You're a winner with Parting Glass Racing. PartingGlassRacing.com. PartingGlassRacing.wow!
Funding your Capital OTB bet account is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Easy Money. Clearly the fastest and easiest method of depositing funds into your account. Make deposits or withdrawals in just minutes. 2. Green Dot Money Pack. Gives you instant access to your funds. Green Dot Money Packs are available at thousands of retailers nationwide. And 3. MasterCard Visa. Simply click on the link from the funding page, enter your account information, and fund your account. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Hey race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
Welcome back to Down the Stretch, everyone. I'm Mark Asano. My thanks to Chris Kay once again for having joined us. And a Fleet Alex for Tim Ritchie and Jeremy Rose captured the Sanford 10 years ago in stakes record time. Our next guest upset the Belmont Derby a few weeks ago with Mr. Speaker. This afternoon, he's going to try to upset the Diana with Abaco. We welcome back to Down the Stretch Mr. Shug McGaughey. Shug, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Mark.
Good seeing you as always. I don't think you're going to mind doing this. I want to take you and the audience back to the Belmont Derby. For our audience, Mr. Speaker is number 9 in here. Shug, you changed tactics, and it led to a 23.5 to 1 upset. Talk about it.
Well, his races all winter and spring were good. He won a stake as a 2-year-old, and then he just got beat in a stake coming from way back at Gulfstream on March the 1st, and then in the Lexington, he kind of stalked and was an easy winner. And then when we ran him in the prep for this race, just everything sort of seemed to fall apart. He was up on the lead, sort of chasing and this and that. And I knew that wasn't what he wanted to do. So we just had to make a few changes, and luckily it worked.
Yeah, and he looks much more comfortable settling early and coming from off the pace.
No doubt. He acted strange in the paddock in this prep race. This day he was perfect, and you know, I don't think he should have paid $49 myself. I mean, his record was pretty darn good going up to it, and they were pretty high on all the European horses, and but he had trained well, and I thought he would run well. I thought he would like the distance. You know, I thought that Jose had a pretty good bead on what I wanted to do with him, and I thought he rode a great race.
He did. He really did, because despite the outside post, he saved ground every step of the way and got through inside without getting stopped.
Well, you know, he remembered, because when he won the Dania Beach as a 2-year-old, he got through on the fence the whole way, and so he wasn't afraid to bide his time down in there and just wait for it to open up, and you know, and it did, and you know, he was good enough to be able to take advantage of it.
How did it feel to win $1.5 million race? First time, straight 3-year-olds for $1.5 million. Pretty good.
Yeah, it felt really
or
good.
$1.25 million, maybe I misspoke. It might have been $1.25 million.
Enough.
But either way, that's not too shabby.
No, it was fun. You know, I'd heard about the race back in the spring, that they were going to change to Jamaica and make it this race. So we had it on our calendar. We just had a little bit of a problem when we ran bad in the prep. But you know, was able to, you know, we set our goal for this race, and we were able to win it, and made it a lot of fun.
How did he come out of the Belmont Derby, and will we see him here at Saratoga?
Yeah, he came out of it very well. He worked this morning on the training track, and I think he's doing well. I looked at him pretty close outside the stall yesterday afternoon, and I was very pleased with what I saw. Mr. Phipps was there, and he wanted to see him out, so you know, I got to take a good look at him too. So yeah, we're going to see him here. I mean, I'm going to work him a couple times on the dirt, see how he responds. You know, the Travers is not out of our not out of our possibility, and if it's not there, it'll probably be the Saranac at the end of the meet.
I'm going off memory here, which is dangerous at my age. But didn't you run him on dirt at Gulfstream? And we know Gulfstream's, you know, a strange, very biased main track, but he didn't really look that comfortable that day.
Well, he didn't, but then again, he was laying up pretty close to the pace, and I think that probably the idea there was don't let the dirt hit him in his face. And you know, I just don't think that's where he wants to be. His mother didn't want to be there. I trained Pulpit's mother, and she wanted to be back. So, you know, I think that you know, we'll just see. You know, I'm gonna work him in behind horses, and I got plenty of time. Work him over the main track a time or two, and see what happens. I mean, it would be such, if you were able to run the Travers and be competitive, it'd be such a big feather in his hat to be able to do that. And the one thing about it is he will run that far.
Well, today Shug runs Abaco in the Grade 1 Diana. She's a Grade 3 winner, but ran awfully well 2 back in the Grade 1 Jenny Wiley. And as we pick it up, she is number 4 last at the top of the screen. Shug, talk about this effort, if you would.
Well, she ran great. You know, I mean, Jose rode her in here, and he had her back, and I think that's what she wants to do, and I think that's what she wants to do today. And I think she's going to catch a turf course that she's going to really like. You know, being a little bit firmer, and you know, hopefully with the speed that's in the race, that maybe it can set up for her. I think she is a Grade 1 type of a horse. I mean, you know, she ran a really good race in the Sheep's Head Bay, and the filly that just beat her of Mont's, the Juddmonte filly, came back and won the New York handicap, pretty impressive. And you know, these are pretty decent fillies in here. The filly of Brian Lynch's is a nice filly, and the gray filly at Christoph's nice. And then, you know, Michael's horse got through on the inside to win it. We just got beat, just didn't get there. So you know, I'll be awfully disappointed if she didn't put in pretty good effort today.
Yeah, she had run okay at Gulfstream. I don't know if that turf course is absolutely to her liking, but I thought that was a major move forward for the Jenny Wiley.
Well, I'll tell you, in Florida we were letting her lay up too close. You know, that turf course is so speed biased that she laid up, both times she laid up too close, and she just didn't finish as well as we'd like. So, you know, that was our idea in there, was let's get her back. And you know, I think in the Sheep's Head Bay, you know, I think that's a good filly that beat her. We had a little cut in the ground, maybe more than she wanted, and I don't know if she handled it that well, but we get what we want today, and we'll see if she's good enough.
Well, here it is, the Sheep's Head Bay, heading to the far turn. You're 4th on the outside. Shug, what I liked about this is, I mean, she's at her best as a confirmed deep closer.
Right.
But going 11 furlongs in a slow-paced race, she's going to be more forwardly placed.
Right.
But she didn't back up. She kept grinding, and even though she didn't win it, she never gave up.
No, she ran hard that day. I think that the filly was on the lead. I think was on the lead the whole way and had it all her own way. And we kept coming at her, and Joelle let her drift out a little bit that way, and filly on the lead, and I think that looked like that intimidated her a tad bit. But she went on and finished, and like I say, I think that she had a very, very good work at Belmont last Saturday over a firm turf. Finished up really well, and we're going to get a firm turf today, and hopefully with a few of the fillies in there with some speed that we'll get a pace scenario and we can close into it.
Now, I was a little concerned because she doesn't show a workout for like a month after the Sheep's Head Bay. Was there anything wrong?
No, not anything wrong. I can't, after the Sheep's Head Bay, my idea was to run her in the Diana and just try to get her good. I looked at her this morning. I told Robbie, my assistant, I said, I think she looks as good today as I've ever seen her look. And she was always it just took her a while for some reason to sort of fill into herself, and she's still a little bit light behind, but I think she does look good, and I think her coach's good, and I think her attitude's good, and I'm looking forward to late this afternoon.
That's wonderful. Now, earlier this year, you had a couple of top 3-year-olds in the barn, both of whom unfortunately went to the sidelines. Let's get an update from you first on Honor Code. What's going on with him?
Honor Code's at Fair Hill. He's been there he's been there like 10 days. He was jogging, and he galloped this morning. He had his first gallop going, I think he jogged a mile and galloped 3/4 to 7/8 of a mile, and then jogged out a little bit behind. And from what all I hear, he looked great, and I think he's doing good. I saw him. I was down there Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday this past week, and I thought he'd really filled out, looked good, and he was moving very well.
Realistically, when are you looking to get him back?
Well, I mean, realistically, you would hope maybe we would have him back by the 1st of November. With the suspensory injury that he had behind, I'm probably going to gallop him another 30 days and, then re-ultrasound it and see where we are before we start doing anything with him. But, I'm not in a hurry. They're not in a hurry, so we'll let him sort of take us. But it'd be nice to get a race into him maybe the end of October, the 1st of November with the Cigar Mile on my mind.
Okay.
But also if we got a race in, in November at Aqueduct or something going a mile, and then had him for a couple of those races in Florida this winter, that'd be fun too.
And we have not seen Top Billing since the Fountain of Youth. What's going on with Top Billing?
Top Billing was first breeze after the Fountain of Youth, trying to get him ready for the Florida Derby. He fractured his cannon bone. We sent him to Dr. Bramlage that day. He was heading to Europe on a long planned trip, so that was on Saturday. We got him out of there. He operated on him on Sunday morning before he left. Put some screws in and a plate. All that's out. He's turned out at Windstar Farm right now in Lexington, and I think in about a week he's about ready to put the tack back on.
Okay.
So
all right.
I don't know that he'll maybe come around as quick as possibly Honor Code, but we'll take it day by day and see what happens.
And finally, Honor Code won so impressively here, first time out last year as a 2-year-old. The audience loves it when I ask you this question. Is there a 2-year-old in the barn who has not started yet, who you're particularly high on that we'll likely see here at Saratoga?
I think we got a lot of nice 2-year-olds. Met more 2-year-olds this year than we've had in the past. But one I think we can look for maybe pretty soon is a filly called Cover Up that just came down. I worked her out of the gate at Fair Hill Wednesday morning, and she came then, and I think that hopefully maybe in the next 2 or 3 weeks she'll be ready to run, and we'll take it from there.
Cover Up.
Cover Up.
A 2-year-old filly maiden special here at Saratoga.
That's it.
Shug, as always, we appreciate your time. Thanks so much for having joined us this morning on Down the Stretch. And we would like to say thank you to you by giving you a $100 gift card to Jacob and Anthony's American Grill, 38 High Rock Avenue in downtown Saratoga. They are open daily for lunch and dinner beginning at 11:30. So please take this with our regards. Enjoy lunch or dinner. And thanks again for having joined us this morning, as always.
Thanks very much.
Shug McGaughey, ladies and gentlemen. And we are up to our next break. When we return, Mr. Graham Motion will join us as we go to the break, the 2004 Diana, and one of my favorite turf mares of that era, Wonder Again. So we'll take a look at the 2004 Diana to the break. Back with Graham Motion right after these messages.
And they're off. Wonder Again was off to an uneventful start. Ocean Drive and Sand Springs, who's down on the hedge. Risk Averse was away running fourth. Then Spice Island, Hallery Lee, and Intercontinental has been taken well in hand by Jerry Bailey, and she is now already 10 lengths from the lead. And Sand Springs leads the field into the first turn over the off-going here. She steps clear to lead by 3 lengths. Ocean Drive runs along in second, and Wonder Again is an unhurried third. Risk Averse is fourth on the outside by 3, and then Hallery Lee followed on the inside by Spice Island. And the trailer is Intercontinental, and she is resenting the restraint of Jerry Bailey, tossing her head about as she rounded the first turn. They're moving up the backstretch here. A 23-3 opening quarter for Sand Springs, who's out there alone on the lead by a half a dozen lengths now. Ocean Drive is running along in second. Wonder Again is now third. And Intercontinental has been given a bit more raid, and she's moving now on the far outside, just alongside Risk Averse with 4 furlongs to go here. Farther back, Hallery Lee, and the trailer is Spice Island. The half went in 47 3/5 seconds over the yielding course here. And they are gaining on Sand Springs. The lead's down to a length. Ocean Drive is second. Risk Averse right there third on the outside. Wonder Again is only 2.5 lengths from the lead, and she's right there in behind the lead down toward the inside. And Intercontinental still in with a good chance as the field turns for home, and the hedge opens up here for Wonder Again, and she strikes the lead at the top of the stretch, and Wonder Again is opening up by 3. Ocean Drive, Sand Springs, Risk Averse giving chase. Intercontinental, not today. She'll be well beaten. Here's Wonder Again with a whipping effort in the rain at Saratoga to win the Diana by a half dozen emphatic lengths over Risk Averse and Ocean Drive.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Sovereign stable.
Partnerships.
Ownership.
Winning.
Sovereign stable.
The anticipation.
The excitement.
The thrill.
Top level racing.
Sovereign stable.
Join us in the morning on the backstretch of Saratoga Racecourse to experience the magic of thoroughbred ownership. Call 866-329-2WIN to meet trainers, jockeys, and watch sovereign horses on the track.
Face it, most horse racing websites are just too much clutter, too much to navigate through. Next time, log on to capitalotb.com. Our newly designed website is easier than ever to use, with all the information the professional horse player needs. capitalotb.com.
Welcome back to Down the Stretch, everyone. I'm Mark Asano. My thanks to Shug McGaughey once again for having joined us. And Wonder Again for Jimmy Toner and Edgar Prado pretty much dominated the Diana 10 years ago. Our final guest this morning got the meet off to a good start yesterday when he settled Can't Help Believing to a popular victory. Today he'll try to upset the Diana with Strathnaver. We welcome back to Down the Stretch Mr. Graham Motion. Graham, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Congratulations on a very nice opening day. It's got to be great to win first day here at the Spa.
Yeah, it definitely takes the pressure off. I mean, everybody hopes you can kind of get that first winner out of the way as soon as possible. So I felt we were pretty live in all 3 races yesterday, and they all ran well. I was very pleased.
Yeah, and Ring Weekend, I thought, ran a very fine second to Billy Mott's Tourist in the Circuit.
Yeah, I mean, Tourist looks like he's the real deal. I think Ring Weekend ran his heart out. I mean, he just couldn't get to him. He kind of got his own things on his own way on the lead a little bit. Nobody went out there with him, which made it a little bit tough for us.
Will we see Ring Weekend back toward the end of the meet?
I think it's a good shot. We make the Saranac at the end of the meet. I think the distance being a little further will help him, and the timing is good. So,
all right, Strathnaver for this afternoon's Diana. You got her from Europe last year, and it's interesting. You ran her at both middle distances as well as turf routes. Were you kind of searching for her optimum distance, or, you know, did she look like she could handle just about anything?
I think I still am certain. I mean, you know, she won going 1.5 miles at Keeneland. She was very impressive that day. We got a little off track last year. We shipped her to Arlington. She's not a good shipper. I found out the hard way. She ran very poorly after not shipping well, which was why we focused on coming here. She was able to be here a week before the race and get settled in, and that really helps us. So, I mean, to me, 1.8 miles seems like it could be her best fit, perhaps.
How has she settled in and acclimated here? How did she ship?
Really good. I mean, the shipping is what she doesn't like. When she went to Arlington, we flew her, and she just didn't do well on the flight, which is unusual. Most horses handle it very well.
Well, we're about to take a look back at her last start, going a flat mile in the Grade 1 Just a Game on Belmont Day. Strathnaver #2 in here. A very big effort, Graham, and a very tough beat. Talk about this.
Yeah, this was a heartbreaker. I mean, I really thought she'd won the race, and I'm usually fairly pessimistic about that. But I thought she got there. I think it was a head bob. She ran a huge race. Mike gave her a great ride that day.
Did it surprise you at all that she ran this well going just 8 furlongs?
Well, you know, she'd run well going 1.16 at Laurel, which is obviously a lot different competition to what she was running in the Just a Game. I think the key to this filly is the way Mike rode her. You just have to be very patient.
This was only her second race in 6 months. Do you expect a solid move forward off this big effort in the Just a Game?
I do. I mean, often the third race back off a layoff is the best race. So, I mean, she's done well since the race. You always worry when they have a hard race like she did in the Just a Game, how they're going to bounce back. But she's had a couple of nice breezes since, and she seems in great form.
Was the Diana always on the docket for her, or did this big effort really propel her to today's race?
You know, when I spoke to Hugo Lascelles, Andrew's racing manager, after the race, we just kind of discussed options, and the Diana just seemed really logical. Partly for the shipping reasons, the spacing, the timing, and also the 1.8 miles. It just seemed like a really good fit. So once we got our heads together after the race, this seemed like it made sense. This is going to be tough to watch now.
I'm sorry for that. That was one big effort. Any idiosyncrasies with her? Is she a difficult mare to ride?
She really isn't. I just think you have to be patient, and that's always, you know, it's always hard to wait that long, and Mike did it beautifully. Johnny's one of the best in the game, if not the best in the game, so I've got confidence in him.
And just like with Shug earlier with Abaco, she's going to need a pace to set up in front.
Yeah, that's going to be huge, you know, and I think Michael's filly, she tends to run on the lead, so hopefully we've got some pace in there. They tend to run quickly up here. You know, that'll definitely be important for her.
Later on at the meet, in the Alabama to be exact, you are pointing Fortune Pearl, who is next to last at the top of the screen, en route to a nice victory in last in the Delaware Oaks. Graham, she seems to be a filly on the improve.
This filly's really put it together. I mean, I ran her in a claiming race in her first start at Tampa over the winter. She really was unimpressive in the morning, and I was kind of searching to find out where she fit. That's why we started her on the grass, but ever since then she's just blossomed. Each race has been an improvement, and she runs a big race here at Delaware.
Now, tomorrow's coaching club, Grade 1, without Untappable, is, to be very blunt, a pretty weak Grade 1. Was it just too quick to wheel her back for tomorrow?
I think it was. I mean, she ran a big race here. We spaced her races out last time, and we really like the idea of the 1.25 miles in the Alabama.
That's interesting, because most trainers, particularly with young 3-year-old fillies, are concerned about 10 furlongs. You think the 1.25 miles is going to suit her?
Well, that's appealing too, because hopefully it puts some of the others off.
Yeah, yeah. Now, before we let you go, you have got a fascinating first-time starter in this afternoon's third race by the name of Contrary Opinion. Out of Hooked on the Feelin', who won about $1.5 million, is a half to a couple of really nice sprinters in Pussycat Doll and Jimmy Creed. What can you tell us about Contrary Opinion?
I mean, he's done everything nicely. I actually had him training at Delaware, and Alex Cintrone's worked him for me the last couple of times from the gate. He likes him a lot. We entered him at Delaware a couple of times. The race didn't fill, and that's why we're here. But he's ready to run. He's done everything nicely.
Yeah, those gate works, I think, one, as you mentioned, at Delaware, one earlier at Fair Hill, those look like a couple of pretty nice gate works.
Yeah, they were decent works, and Alex likes him. It's unfortunately he won't be up here to ride him today, but you know, I'm looking forward to getting him started.
All right. Well, we will look forward to Contrary Opinion in the third. We will look forward to Strathnaver in the Diana. And as always, we thank you so much for having joined us this morning on Down the Stretch.
Not at all. Happy
Always
to be
enjoy seeing you. And we want to say thank you by giving you this $100 gift card to Jacob and Anthony's American Grill, 38 High Rock Avenue, right here in downtown Saratoga. They are open daily for lunch and dinner, beginning at 11:30. And as I take a look at the screen, it's making me hungry. The food is very good. So Graham, take this with our regards and have a nice lunch and dinner. And again, thanks so much for having joined us this morning on Down the Stretch.
Appreciate it. One of my favorite spots.
There you go. Thank you, Graham. And we are up to our final break. When we return, a look ahead to the upcoming week. As we go to this break, the 1987 Sanford, and again, a colt who would have, you know, a sizable impact on the 3-year-old division a year later. So we will take a look at the 87 Sanford to the break. Back with more right after these messages.
They're all in line. They're off. Once Wild has the lead. On the outside is 49er in second. Farther out is Endurance, then Prowl, Velvet Fog, and Stockport. Down the backstretch. Once Wild on the rail leads the way by more than a length. Then 49er, Endurance, and Prowl. They enter the far turn. Once Wild still leads by 2. 49er second by a half. On the outside, Endurance is third by a half. Prowl fourth by about 6. Then Stockport and Velvet Fog. The first quarter, 21-4 as they approach the top of a stretch. Once Wild continues to lead on the rail by 2. 49er on the far outside, second by about 4. Then Endurance and Prowl. The 44-3. Once Wild on the rail, now joined by 49er as they pass the 8th pole. 14-9er on the outside gets the lead. Once Wild back into second by 8. And now Velvet Fog moves into third. As they approach the wire, it's 14-9er in front.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
The Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back. That's right, the 2014 Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back, and it's your chance to win thousands in cash and prizes, and a seat at the 2015 Handicapping Championship in Las Vegas. This month's contest is the Saratoga Classic on August 9th. So sign up today, online at capitalotb.com or stop in at the Clubhouse Racebook.
Welcome back to Down the Stretch, everyone. I'm Mark Asano. My thanks once again to Graham Motion for having joined us, and 49er for the late Woody Stevens, and Hall of Famer Eddie Maple captures the 1987 Sanford. Well, the Sanford, one of the co-features on this opening Saturday card here at Saratoga. Let's take a look at the stakes action over the next week here at the Spa. Pair of stakes this afternoon, the Grassy Diana as well as the Sanford. Tomorrow, no untappable in the Coaching Club Oaks, and really that's a gift of a Grade 1. The Lucky Coin, the secondary stakes, which is a turf sprint. On Monday, Fillies and Mares will sprint 7/8 on dirt in the Shine Again. It features the return of My Miss Aurelia in a field of 6, and it's not a terribly easy spot because multiple graded stakes winner Grace Hall is in there as well. On Wednesday, the Lake George for 3-year-old fillies going 8.5 furlongs on turf. On Thursday, the Quick Call, which is a turf sprint for 3-year-olds. Next Friday is the Curlin, a restricted race for 3-year-olds at 1 1/8. And next Saturday, a pair of stakes for the 3-year-olds, the Jim Dandy at 9 furlongs as the final Saratoga prep for the Travers, and the Amsterdam at 6.5 furlongs. In the Jim Dandy, we expect to see Belmont Hero, Tonalist, So there's a look at the upcoming stakes here at Saratoga over the next week. And finally, get you caught up on something here. A trio of Grade 1 winners, all based in Southern California, have been retired. Geronimo, the winner of the Shoemaker Mile and the Eddie Reed, Tiz Flirtatious, who captured the Rodeo Drive, and Shaking It Up, the winner of last year's Malibu, have all been retired. And folks, there is no easy way to replace Grade 1 stakes winners. All right, time to thank all the folks who helped get this week's edition of Down the Stretch on the air here at Saratoga. Our associate producer, Julie Hoxie, Brian Dorenzo, Mick Richards, and Trey McDougall. Back in the control room in Schenectady, Pat Peretta directed, Dan Hayes on audio. Thanks to this morning's guests, NYRA President Chris Kay, Shug McGaughey, and Graham Motion. And thanks so much to our sponsors, Parting Glass Racing, Saratoga's original racing partnership, and they have enjoyed a very fine 2014. Visit them on the web at partingglassracing.com, and by Jacob and Anthony's American Grill, 38 High Rock Avenue, right here in Saratoga Springs, open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner, beginning in just about a half an hour at 11:30. Call them at 871-1600. Again, we will be here every Saturday morning during the Saratoga meet from 10 until 11, with the exception of Travers Day, when we will be here a bit earlier. We'll let you know about that as we get closer to August 23rd. As always, thank you so very much for having joined us this morning on Down the Stretch. Have a terrific opening weekend here at Saratoga. Enjoy all the outstanding racing action. And from all of us here at Down the Stretch, we'll see you next week.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.